TGIF, gang. So has your work week or school week just zipped along and you're like, wow, I can't believe it's Friday already? Or did it just drag on endlessly and now you're like, oh, thank goodness it's Friday? I don't know. I can't tell you. All I can tell you for certain is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I am Jeff McAleer. I am your host here at the Daily Dope, as well as the Grand Poobah of the GamingGang.com. And it is Friday, February 23rd. Welcome aboard if you haven't watched before. It is a pretty casual show. I just pretty much chat about games, share some news, things like that. Do want to point out that chat is available on Twitch as well as YouTube. So if you have any questions about anything I'm talking about, or you want to just say hello, that's cool. I am going to be doing an unboxing in a few minutes. So if you want a closer look at any of the components or rules that we're peeking at, feel free to ask. Chat is not on screen. Kind of helps keep the trolls at bay that way, but I do see the chat. So if you say howdy or have a question, I certainly will respond. All right, so a couple of things I want to talk about before I jump into the news for today. And first off, you may be tuning in and you were hoping to see a how to play of Darkest Night 2nd Edition from Victory Point Games. And I do apologize, I am not doing that today. That is the reason why I did not pop up anything. Usually on Twitter, I will tweet what's coming up on the next day's show, and I did not do that last night. And if you do watch the Daily Dope regularly, you do know earlier this week I wasn't sure if I was going to have an opportunity to actually do a show today. And then it looked like, okay, everything was fine. And then now it turns out, well, okay, so basically what it is that my brother and my sister-in-law both work for two different airlines. And they find themselves working on the same day sometimes. And that means they're not in town. And my 16-year-old nephew and my 11-year-old niece are kind of left to their own devices. Now, normally it's not a huge deal. I swing over just to kind of keep an eye on things and to make sure that the kids get a home-cooked meal as opposed to just tossing stuff into the microwave. Today, Cameron is not going to be home until later on tonight from school, so don't want to leave Madison by herself, so I have to race on over there after the show. I'm not going to just zip through the show, don't worry. I always try to do about 60 minutes for each Daily Dope. And a lot of times it goes quite a bit longer than that. Sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes closing in on 2 hours. So that's really one of the big reasons why I'm not going to do the playthrough, because I know I said, well, we'll spend about 45 minutes going through the game. And of course, it's me we're talking about, so we know it'll end up being like an hour and 15. So the other reason is I had a few people email as well as comment that they would like to see an entire playthrough of Darkest Night 2nd Edition. And I sort of agree with them on that, I think a playthrough would be pretty cool. Granted, you're looking at it's probably going to be 90 minutes, maybe even 2 hours. And what I'm thinking of doing, I know I've mentioned this before, is I'm looking at doing some exclusive videos for my patrons over on Patreon, and I think that's going to be my first video. I'm not going to roll those out until March, probably the first weekend, so really a week from tomorrow. I really think I want to do something a little bit different with my patrons, as opposed to just saying, oh, okay, well, I've got some exclusive giveaways for patrons on Patreon. And I swear I am going to go and update the Patreon page. I swear it. Anyway, so I want to get serious for a second. And don't worry, it's not politically charged or anything like that. Nothing current events wise. But I do want to mention that I just I just continually get emails or comments on videos basically saying that I have to do something or I need to do something. And I'll give you a great example. So I did an unboxing for the Replicators expansion for Space Empires 4X from GMT Games. And if you check out the videos, you can check out the Daily Dope over on Board Game Geek. When I'm doing an unboxing or a review of a board game, those get posted onto the game page. I have a blog that I just simply post episodes of the Daily Dope to as well over on Board Game Geek. You also have the gaminggang.com where you can see the videos, and also, obviously enough, YouTube. Now, I do stream on Twitch. I don't have a huge following on Twitch, so I really don't put a extra work into the Twitch videos. Plus, they are only saved for a couple of weeks and then they disappear. So anyway, I always put a time code in the description of the video everywhere, right? So it's on YouTube, Gaming Gang, Board Game Geek, what have you, and it will tell you, okay, the show opens at this point. This is the news of the day. Maybe I'm talking about the mailbag. Maybe I'm talking about giveaways, and then the review or unboxing or what have you, right? So it's all time coded. You can jump right to what you want to see, right? You don't care about the news. You want to see something about a game. Boom, you can jump right to it. So I get this comment, and I got to be honest. When I see that I've got a comment on a video at Board Game Geek, 9 times out of 10, I figure, okay, here it comes. It's going to be something negative. So on this Replicators video, I get this comment, and it says, you need to trim this down to just the Replicators part. And it's sort of like, I just need to point out that I don't need to do anything. I don't have to do anything. There's 2 things in this world that I have to do, right? Pay taxes and eventually die. That's it. 2 things. I don't even have to do this show. I'm not saying I'm not going to do the show, but I would really appreciate if people don't email me or comment on videos saying what I need to do or I have to do this. I do not want this to look like everyone else's board game shows or videos or what have you. This is just my take on the hobby. And strangely enough, when I get these negative comments, usually on Board Game Geek, and there are people who say, hey, thanks for the video and stuff like that, and that's very cool. I appreciate that. I really do. It really means a lot to me when somebody just even says, hey, thanks for the video. That, you know, that was a fun waste of an hour of my time. You know, whatever. It's not as if I'm curing cancer on this show, right? I mean, it's not like this is super important stuff. But it still is cool when people say, hey, thanks. But it's strange that I tend to see these negative comments or these weirdo comments that I get on Board Game Geek usually come from people who seem to be like really new to the hobby or something. They never seem to be people who've been on Board Game Geek for long. Then again, maybe they've been banned and it's another new account. Who knows? But yeah, just like this Replicators person, I took a peek and showed that, you know, they were, I think, a member of Board Game Geek for a few months and absolutely no involvement with the website whatsoever. And it's sort of like, well, I'm so glad that, you know, you've got time to just be critical about something. But yeah, that kind of irks me. Just like last night on Twitter, I tweeted that, you know, I'm old school and I prefer to get to the gaming table with friends and family to actually play a role-playing game or run a role-playing game, as opposed to sitting there just watching complete strangers play what is effectively a semi-scripted advertisement. And I said, you know, maybe it's just the go-getter in me, right? So I'm just voicing a personal opinion that, yeah, okay, I don't watch these streaming shows about, you know, RPG campaigns. I've talked about that in the past. Right away, somebody's like, somebody's having a bad morning. feeling kind of salty. It's like you do realize you can do both. And then the hashtag, your fun is wrong. That's like, okay, first of all, I'm just saying I don't watch these shows. I'm old school. I prefer to be playing a game. I did not pee on anyone's parade and say, oh, this is crap, don't watch. So, of course, I responded with words to that effect, and I hashtagged it, your fun isn't wrong, because I wasn't knocking somebody's fun. But it's just weird that a vast majority will kick back, they'll watch the show. I don't expect everybody to comment. I don't expect people to jump into chat. I mean, it's just there. It's okay. I mean, we're just kind of kicking back, relaxing, talking about games. It's not rocket surgery. But I just find it amazing that, some people have this weird sense of entitlement. Especially when they're sending me emails or they're commenting on videos telling me, oh, you've got to do this. You have to do this. You need to do this. No, I don't. There's plenty of other shows out there people can watch that fit kind of their niche and their style that they like to see. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I just want to say, come on. All right, enough of the telling me what I've got to do with this show, because I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay attention. Now, of course, that doesn't mean, because I say it all the time, because there's even the little email address down there, any comments, questions, or suggestions are welcome. So, I mean, I've had people who've emailed and said, hey, because I've talked about, Fantasy Flight Games, and I really don't cover a lot of Fantasy Flight Game stuff because they get plenty of press everywhere else. And I've had people say, hey, I'd like to see more FFG stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll share more FFG stuff. In fact, I've got a news piece from them today. Or, somebody said, hey, I'd like to hear more about some of the smaller companies out there. That's cool. If I can do something like that, I will. But the whole telling me what I've got to do, as if like, well, I'm never going to watch again unless you do this. It's not as if you own one TV and you have one channel and you are like locked in a room and you have to watch one thing. There's plenty of other stuff out there you could check out if this just isn't your bag. And I completely understand if it is not your bag. I know I'm too chatty. I know I go off on tangents or start telling side stories about things. It's just me. That's how I am. Anyway, all right, so that's what's going on as far as that. So I am going to jump into the news. Then I'm going to talk about what you can expect to see next week on the Daily Dope. I have switched some stuff up a bit. I know what I'll talk about before I jump into the news. So I'm actually sitting there waiting for the show from yesterday to finish rendering. And I should mention, if you catch yesterday's show, my internet dropped, strangely enough, for about 5 to 10 minutes. And if you watch the show, I even mentioned, hey, this video dropped. I don't know what happened with the stream. So YouTube saved it as 2 different videos. Usually, if your stream ends within a certain period of time and you start streaming again, they'll combine it. Well, they didn't combine it, so I actually had to download the videos, put them back together, trim some stuff, pop it back up. But, so anyway, so I'm doing that, which of course means just more work on my end. And mail comes, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'll see what's, and I'm like, whoa, big box and small package. I was like, ooh, what do we got? So I'm actually going to take a first look at Sakura from Osprey Games. It is Reiner Knizia's newest design. And I know I've teased about Reiner Knizia in the past, and I'll talk about that during the unboxing. So this came yesterday, so I thought, hey, I try to do kind of like family fun Friday. So this is perfect. This is awesome. Just in time. And I apologize to the VPG fans out there, once again, who were hoping for a bit of a how to play for Darkest Night. That will be coming, but I think I'm going to make it just for the patrons. So anyway, so I'm going to unbox this, and then the wargamers out there are going to be really pleased to know that, yes, Another package from my pals over at GMT Games arrived. Oh, yeah. So there are two main battle tank expansions that arrived. So there's FRG. So this came. And then the second one is BAOR. And off the top of my head, isn't it James M. Day who is the designer? Yes, it is James M. Day who is the designer of MBT, or Main Battle Tank. So look forward to some unboxings of those two in the future. And I never get tired as I'm trying to. I got a bunch of stuff stacked up here because I got stuff for what's going on next week. I never get tired about sharing info from my good buddy Herman Lutman and his designs. And yes, at any cost, Mets 1870 has arrived. Yes, there's going to be some Herman Lutman action on Monday. Now, I had already promised I'm going to do a review for Old School Tactical Volume 2 on Wednesday for War Game Wednesday. So I don't know. We're going to have to try to fit some stuff in. I will point out that I am kind of considering maybe not doing unboxing videos for everything. Things, they're not necessarily all stacking up, but I think some items, for an example, I'm going to be reviewing Attack of the 50-Foot Colossi on Monday. Don't really need to do an unboxing for that. We're going to actually just kind of dive into the game. I'll show off the components and then do the review. Anyway, so I was like, sweet, more GMT stuff. I know I've got quite a few folks out there who are war gamers, who are grognards. Isn't that the pronunciation? Grognard? For years, I've always said grognard. Yeah, well, as I say, English is my I treat English as if it's a second language, but I believe the French pronunciation is grognard. So, which is weird because I have had so many people correct me in comments and emails on other stuff. How come nobody's ever said, hey, Jeff, you're pronouncing that word incorrectly. It is not grognard. Anywho. All right, so let's jump into the news. There's a good amount. I got 5 news pieces today. And I already prefaced the news by mentioning that I've got some Fantasy Flight Games info. And folks out there who are big fans of Star Wars and the Star Wars role-playing game from Fantasy Flight Games will be very excited to know that the latest Era supplement has arrived, and I've got the dope. And I have to admit, it's FFG, so there's tons of stuff that they've written, and I am not going to go through all of it because it'd be like a 10-minute news piece. Dawn of Rebellion, the first Era sourcebook for the Star Wars role-playing game, is available now from your local retailer or from the FFG web store. Drawing from the characters, locations, and equipment featured in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and the Star Wars Rebels series, Dawn of Rebellion gives players and game masters the tools and inspiration to create their own adventures set in the early days of the Rebellion against the indomitable war machine of the Empire. Whether your campaign is primarily themed around Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny, or a blend of all three, Dawn of Rebellion offers a range of new specialization trees and species for you to use as player characters, and the denizens of the galaxy that they meet. Location dossiers for iconic worlds such as Alderaan, Jeddah, Dathomir. I don't remember what that's from. Maybe that's from Rebels. And more contribute terrific source material for your tales of danger and adventure. Additionally, extensive information on every level of the organization of the Empire gives players and game masters a solid background foundation for stories of desperate fringers, brave rebels, or nascent Force users. For game masters, Dawn of Rebellion offers significant insight into the workings of many Imperial organizations that may vex players, no matter the theme of the campaign. The Imperial Army and Navy are obvious foes, and ones that must largely be avoided by characters not playing an Age of Rebellion story. However, Componor, Compnor, the Imperial Security Bureau, and the Inquisitorius are fundamentally more insidious and pervasive. Beyond that, other groups like criminal organizations and independent rebel cells provide both allies and opposition, as all kinds of motivations and goals may align or counter in interesting ways. Star Wars Dawn of Rebellion, as mentioned, is out now, and the hardcover supplement carries an MSRP of $39.95. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I hear lots of good stuff about the Star Wars role-playing game from Fantasy Flight Games, and I've yet to actually take a peek. Sorry. It's just, I wish, I swear, one of these days, I'm going to take a look. And I know you sort of have to have custom dice, but I do realize that there is an app available for the custom dice on Android and iOS. So that would kind of, help you out in that respect. But yeah, I really do need to take a look. Sorry, my throat is really, really dry. Once again, it's cold and dry down here in the Duct Tape Studios. I can't wait. Next week, I think we're supposed to hit the 50s because I'm getting real tired of wearing, fleece pullovers and things like that. All right, coming up in May from USAopoly and Marvel is Deadpool versus the World. An adult party game where players look to provide rhyme and or reasons for the Merc with a Mouth's antics. Here's the dope. Deadpool versus the World. Deadpool makes his mark on adult gaming in Deadpool versus the World, a hilarious party game for mature audiences. Featuring 100 custom illustrations of Deadpool in very strange and unsightly situations, players face off against their friends by filling in the blanks on caption cards to provide the most outrageous explanations of the Merc with a Mouth's predicaments. The player who best describes Deadpool's compromising situations wins the game. Sounds a lot like Deadpool versus Cards Against Humanity. The game includes 100 custom illustration WTF cards. I almost actually read out what that actually represents. Came close, caught myself right at the last minute. So WTF cards, 300 wet erase caption cards, 6 wet erase pens, and rules. Deadpool versus the World will carry an MSRP of $24.95 when it arrives in May. Okay, so strangely enough, I have to mention that the USAopoly website indicates the game is recommended for ages 13 and up, but the box shows 17 and up. I am going to say, well, teenagers play Cards Against Humanity too, and it's just I have never actually seen teenagers. When I've played Cards Against Humanity, it's always with adults. So I can only imagine what, say, 13-year-olds and their Cards Against Humanity games end up like. But yeah, that's kind of funny. A little different. I mean, it's something different from USAopoly. I have noticed they're kind of branching out into a little more uncharted territory with some of their games, I think, which is cool, which is very cool. Because at one point, I could have swore that USAopoly was a lot of kind of Monopoly skins, well, different skins for Monopoly and different like regular card games, like decks of cards. So they've come quite a long way. I think in the future I might see some USAopoly stuff. Can't say for sure. All right, so fantasy gamers out there are going to be interested in the late pledge that's available from MAGE Company For 12 Realms Dungeon Land. Uh-huh. Not something I was overly aware of, to be honest. Anyway, I've got the dope. 12 Realms Dungeon Land is a dungeon crawling game for 1 to 4 heroes. Players take on the roles of famous folklore characters like Red Riding Hood and Prince Charming. I believe Puss in Boots is in there too. Each with unique abilities. They venture across famous tales to stop great villains that have been turned by dark magic, changing the tale's endings and casting the realms into eternal darkness. Our heroes will travel through many tales to gather clues about the source of this mysterious evil. They will fight for their lives using a unique combat system that features a set of custom dice. Through these adventures, the heroes will gather experience, hone their skills, and acquire new ones using an innovative skill tree system, collect gold, and discover powerful artifacts to aid them against the foul magic that is spread throughout the lands. Impassioned explorers will encounter strong villains and their minions served up by an AI system that allows them to react to certain circumstances and utilize amazing abilities that will challenge even the mightiest and most resourceful. This is a standalone game. 12 Realms Dungeon Land expands the fairy tale world with a dungeon crawling game. So, of course, you don't need to have 12 realms to be able to play this game. Powerful magic has mutated the lands of the 12 realms, invading their tales and attempting to change them forever. 12 Realms Dungeon Land is for 1 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, and plays in around 45 minutes. I do have a video because this was actually a successful Kickstarter project, and now they've moved over to Game on Tabletop for late pledges. So let's take a look at the video from the Kickstarter originally. As pointed out, 12 Realms Dungeon Land is on Game on Tabletop through March 11th, so you can get your late pledge in. You can score the title, which actually includes 46 miniatures, for $95, which will also include shipping. I should point out that there was just loads and loads of info in this press release about 12 Realms Dungeon Land, so I did not include a lot of it. I'm serious. It would have been like an FFG kind of thing where I'd have been talking about it for 10 minutes just reading. But I do want to mention that this has like a big campaign. It has an overarching campaign so that your characters, and it did talk about it in part of the press release that I read, that they'll actually improve, they'll get better, but it's supposed to have just loads and loads of content. You'll probably want to go take a peek. I will have a news piece up hopefully later on tonight. Otherwise, I'll have it up tomorrow because we have some gaming planned over the weekend. We have gaming planned tonight. Yay! I'll talk about that when I'm done with the news. But it does look pretty cool. I will point out, I played the 12 Realms. I thought it was okay. Mechanically, it seemed broken. Actually, that's why I didn't review it, because it wasn't something I was like, yay, or even like, well. But this is a completely different game, so fingers crossed, right? And once again, with Kickstarters and things like that, just because I'm sharing the news does not necessarily mean I'm telling you to go buy it. When I talk about Kickstarters and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be good, you really got to go, I'll tell you. I'm not dissuading you from checking it out. I'm just saying I don't really know much about it. All right, so let's talk about a game company that I have not heard much from in the past, I don't know, week, which is very unusual because it seems like every day something's cooking with Renegade Game Studios. And I can announce that the human tower building game Castel is now available. And I've got the dope. Castel is the vibrant Catalonian tradition of building human towers. Huge teams of people from all over Catalonia gather at festivals to celebrate Catalonian culture and compete to build the highest and most difficult human towers. How many times was I going to have to say Catalonian? Castel is a strategy game where players guide Castel teams through a year of festivals. Visit Catalonian cities, expand your team of Castellers, learn tower building skills, and show off your tower building prowess at local performances and festival competitions. Harness your strength, balance, courage, and common sense to take your team to victory. It features a celebration of the vibrant Catalonian tradition of building human towers. Expand your team of Castellers and increase your tower building skills. Perform at local festivals for you to take your team to victory. Didn't come across correctly. Strange. Anyway, Castel is for 2 to 4 competitors, ages 14 and up, and it plays in about 60 to 90 minutes. As I mentioned, Castel is available now, and it carries an MSRP of $60. I apologize, I don't have any other images to share outside of the front of the box and the back of the box. And I have seen some images of the components of the game. You can sort of see it on the back of the box there. And I got to be very honest, because that's how I am. Yeah, I just share my thoughts from what I've seen. Now, I'm not saying this isn't going to be a fun game, going to be a lot of fun, really enjoy it. I'm not saying that at all. But $60 seems a little high as far as the MSRP on this from what I've seen. Now, I'm not sharing photos of the components that I did see because they didn't come from Renegade Game Studios. So I'm not going to just swipe somebody's images and throw them up here. But yeah, I was a little surprised by the $60 MSRP because Clank, a deck building adventure, Clank in Space, aren't those 50? Could have swore I think the MSRP on those is 50. And then the core like North Sea games like Raiders of the North Sea, I thought those are about 52. And those games seem to have a lot more to them than Castel does. Like I said, I'm not trying to say, don't check this out, or it's not, not worth it. I never want to say that, because Renegade Game Studios, now granted, I've only played a couple other games, but I really enjoyed both of them a lot. And I never really hear anybody talking about how, oh, wow, I bought this Renegade title and thumbs down. I never hear that through the grapevine. I'm just saying that maybe if you're interested in this game, you might want to explore, say, an online retailer, get a little bit of discounting on it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not trying to dissuade you from purchasing the game. I'm just saying it just seems priced a little high. Anyway, talking about saving you money, because I'm always kind of looking out for folks as far as saving money or getting good deals. And I don't have any affiliation with any online retailers. Of course, granted, okay, drive-through RPG, but that's a little different. But so yeah, I'm always trying to float out ideas for you to save a bit of dough. And I will actually mention something about that when I finish up with the news here. My final news piece, speaking of saving people money, Bundle of Holding has a nice package of Fantasy Age and Dragon Age titles from Green Ronin Games, which you can score pretty much for a song. And I've got the dope. Adventurer! That's how Bundle of Holding always starts off their stuff. Adventurer! The Grey Wardens have discovered the Dragon Age Fantasy Age bundle featuring the 2 adventure game engine, AGE, fantasy tabletop role-playing games from Green Ronin. Dragon Age and Fantasy Age. The simple and fast-playing Age rules make an ideal introduction for newcomers to paper and dice role-playing. Isn't it usually pen and paper? Isn't that how we usually refer to it? As do the campaign settings of Thetis from the BioWare Dragon Age computer game, and Velkhana from the Geek and Sundry video series Titan's Grave, The Ashes of Velkhana, hosted by tabletop star Will Wheaton. For just $9.95, you get all 5 titles in our starter collection, which has a retail value of $42, as DRM-free ebooks, including the complete Fantasy Age basic rulebook, the Fantasy Age Bestiary, plus 3 Fantasy Age encounters: Children's Crusade, Menace from the Mines, and Drive for Justice. Hop in the car and drive for justice. And if you pay more than the threshold price of $24.44, you'll level up and also get our entire bonus collection with 7 more titles worth an additional $75. So for about $25, you're getting about $120 worth of games in PDF. You get the Dragon Age Core Rulebook, which honestly normally retails for $30. The comprehensive 440-page full-color rulebook that consolidates all previous Dragon Age RPG rule sets along with new material, and it also includes the free adventure Duty Unto Death. Titan's Grave, The Ashes of Velkhana, the science fantasy setting for Fantasy Age, where science and magic are both powerful forces. Also includes the 10-page introductory adventure, The Hermit's Road, Blood in Ferelden, 3 full-length adventures for Dragon Age, plus seeds for many, many more scenarios. The Dragon Age Game Masters Kits, which includes useful reference charts, plus a complete 36-page adventure, Buried Pass. And the Fantasy Age Game Masters Kit, which is 10 pages of useful reference cards and play aids. You have 17 more days to score these savings through Bundle of Holding, and 10% of your purchase will benefit the Maria Fund, which aids in hurricane relief to Puerto Rico. Very, very cool. Always looking to save you some money on RPGs, especially RPG PDF bundles. And Bundle of Holding usually has some pretty cool deals. That's why I always share them whenever I run across them. All right, so that is the news of the day. Before I jump into the unboxing, a few quick things I was going to say. I did run across an article today. I want to say it was over on, I think it was ICV2, or is it IC2V? Yeah, I think it's IC2V. And it was talking about some retailer tracking system was talking about how game sales, although they were still up for 2017, they were way down as compared to 2016. So I believe in 2016, game sales were up 17%, and then in 2017, they were up 3%. So not as much growth in the hobby as we had seen in previous years. And the reason why I mention this is, you know, I could obviously just sit and talk about, okay, here's this news piece, here's this news piece, here's this news piece, and just give you the news, right? Never give you an opinion of, oh, I'm not knocking Renegade Game Studios. I'm just saying $60 just for what I saw of the game. I haven't seen it close up. I've just seen pictures of the game. $60 to me seems a little high, MSRP wise. So the reason why I mentioned this news piece is I have been hearing from more and more people how they are backing off on a lot of game purchases, and more people are starting to focus on actually culling out their collections as opposed to adding more games to their collections. So I feel that it's really my responsibility to provide you with a little opinion sometimes with my news pieces about, hey, you know, that seems like a pretty good deal. Or you may want to take a close look at this. Like, for an example, I did get an email to the mailbox. I guess it was somebody who was a Sailor Moon fan who, was a little upset that I was kind of knocking that Sailor Moon Crystal Dice Challenge game or whatever it was yesterday. And the reality is, if your game store wasn't going to carry it for $35, you live in the US, it's a $50 game if you want it shipped, and it did not look like it was worth any $50, right? That's all I can tell you, you know? I got to be honest with you out there. That's just how I am. I'm not in anybody's pocket, okay? So I just wanted to point that out, because I am hearing from more and more people that there are still plenty of games out there that people are excited about. Don't get me wrong. But the whole day of, I think, everybody going out there and blowing hundreds of dollars all the time on games is probably coming to an end. So, all right. Anyway, I did have a giveaway for Wreckage, which I did a look at on Monday, the physical book here. I had a giveaway on Twitter for the PDF, and nobody retweeted it. So, don't know what to tell you. It was a pretty simple way to win. All you had to do was retweet that tweet to win it, and nobody did. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. Matt over at Hyacinth Games, I'm pretty sure he did retweet it, but then nobody retweeted it. So it's sort of like, so nobody wants a free PDF of this game? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I will actually run this contest over the weekend one last time. So if you happen to be a follower of the Gaming Gang on Twitter and you see me tweet, hey, all you got to do is retweet this post and you're in the running to win a PDF of this game, retweet it if you want to get a copy of it. It's pretty cool. If you check out the Monday show, there's a lot of stuff in here, and it's a post-collapse America. So kind of scratch that whole Mad Max itch if you're into that sort of gaming. I've got some other giveaways, and I will talk more about those on Monday, because I talked about the giveaways that I'm doing as far as for YouTube followers on yesterday's show. So take a peek. There's a time code. It'll tell you right when you can go and see when I'm talking about the giveaways. The other ones are for patrons on Patreon, and I want to do an update on the Patreon page sometime this weekend. Anyway, so next week on Monday, I will be reviewing Attack of the 50-Foot Colossi from my good buddy Herman Luttman and Mark H. Walker and the other fine folks over at Tiny Battle Publishing. On Tuesday, I will be reviewing Chariots of Rome from Victory Point Games, designed by Sean Young. I just did the unboxing on Wednesday for this. Then on Wednesday, Wednesday comes after Tuesday, Jeff. On Wednesday's show, I will do the, it's out in the car. I will do the review for Old School Tactical Volume 2. So Mark H. Walker is getting a double dip next week, because that is from Flying Pig Games. And I believe some of the wargamers out there are going to be interested in seeing that. Then on Thursday, I'm going to review Hero Realms. And we have been playing that a little bit. We're going to play a little bit more over the weekend. So that's going to be pretty cool. So I will be getting that out there. That is from White Wizard Games. And then On Friday. I'm doing the unboxing today. On Friday, we'll probably be able to get a review of this in. So I've got a bunch of gaming going on this weekend. So Cameron, my nephew, is getting some of his friends together. So we're going to do some fantasy role playing. Jeff's kind of homebrewed fantasy role playing, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to play a little bit of Darkest Night 2nd Edition. My sister-in-law had told me, hey, you better bring that flower game with you, which means that I need to bring Dance of the Fireflies from Backspittle Games and Ninja Division. So I've got a couple of nights of gaming ahead of me. And Elliot Miller's coming out. Yay! Elliot Miller is actually going to sit down with Cameron and his buddies for some role playing. So that should be pretty cool. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've got the unboxing for Sakura. I know some folks out there are like, oh, finally. Don't worry, it'll be a time code. You can jump right to it. Giving me a hard time. Anyway, Sakura is designed by Reiner Knizia. It's for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up. I do believe it plays in about, I think, 20 to 40 minutes. I'll have to take a look at the box. It does carry an MSRP of $30. So let's swing on over to the other camera here. There we go. I'm going to grab a sip again, too. Be sure to email me and say, Jeff, you need to stop drinking things during the show. It's only Diet Pepsi, so. Yes, because I'm supposed to talk for about an hour nonstop without ever, taking a sip of something. All right, so first off, let's just get the shrink off here. I do believe this just recently came out. Now, there is a game that has been announced from Osprey Games. And if you're a war gamer, Osprey, especially if you're like a historical miniatures gamer, Osprey Publishing needs absolutely no introduction because you've been reading their books and getting uniform details and things like that for years. But it looks like Osprey's really upping their game as far as their board games and card games. Now, I really, really enjoy Lost Expedition. My nephew Cameron really, really digs it too. A couple of his friends, they have a hard time kind of, how do you line these cards up sometimes, but they thought it was kind of cool. There is a game on the horizon from Martin Wallace that's going to be coming from Osprey, but it's late in the year. I think it's like winter of this year it's going to be coming. And that is Wildlands, and that looks pretty wild. So I had a news piece not too long ago about it. All right, so Sakura, all right, what's the play time? Where is it? Where do we got it? Yep, 20 to 40 minutes. So yes, it is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up. So the premise of the game, as far as I understand, is that it's a Japanese theme because Sakura is the cherry blossom tree. In fact, I just reviewed Sakura Arms from AEG a couple of weeks ago. Really cool game. Really cool 2-player game. It has a lot of twists to it. It's not something you wrap your head around right away, but it's a lot of fun. Anyway, so Sakura is the cherry blossom tree in Japan, or it can also mean raw horse meat. So I don't see chunks of raw horse meat like flying through the air there. That looks more like cherry blossoms to me. So we're going to have to assume, in this case, Sakura means the cherry blossom tree and not raw horse meat. So anyway, the Emperor, every year, I guess, he visits the Imperial Gardens and he stands under the Sakura tree, and all these artists all try to, kind of push each other out of the way so they can try to paint the best picture of the Emperor. So I understand the premise of the game is you're trying to get as close to the Emperor as you possibly can without actually bumping into the Emperor, because that'll make him mad. which I would think historically in Japan, I thought you weren't actually even supposed to look the emperor in the eye because he was supposed to be a divine being, right? So wouldn't you think he'd be executed if you bumped into him? I know, it's a family game. I'm just saying. All right, so, and I have teased Reiner Knizia over the years, and yes, he has designed a lot of very, very popular, very classic games. But he did get into this period where he really wasn't doing a lot of design. He was working with a lot of companies, and all they were doing were kind of reskinning old designs. And there were some games that it was like, okay, this is like the fourth time this game has been released, and all it has now is a different theme, but it's the same game. So he was kind of sort of riding, on his reputation more than anything else. I do understand that recently, and it could be for any reason. I mean, maybe he wasn't in the greatest of health or something. I don't know. He's supposed to be a really nice person. Anyway, I was going to say, at least I have heard recently that a lot of the stuff that's coming out from him, and it's not like a ton of stuff, not a ton of titles, they are original designs. So I believe this is an original design. I do not know for certain because I am not like really heavily vested in a lot of Reiner Knizia's past games. All right, so we've got the rules here. Not much to this. All we got is a fold out, so pretty easy to get into. So it's showing the components, showing the Emperor's Garden. We see the Emperor's Garden there. Setup, how to play, an overview of the round, movement, because as I mentioned, the Emperor's moving, I guess, through the garden, and these artists are trying to get as close as they can. And of course, I'm sure they're not psychic. They can't predict exactly where the Emperor is going to be walking. So they've got card actions, garden actions, painter actions, because you are trying to paint this portrait of him while following him around. You see some play example over here. Then we've got scoring, the game end, playing with 2 players, and a tricky variant for 2 players. Well, be a little tricky. And an ad for London, 2nd edition from Martin Wallace. Is this the one? Yep, it's the one where you're rebuilding London after the fire. Because isn't there a London? Wasn't it 1666 that London burned, or was it 1066? I thought it was 1666. I'm probably wrong. But most of London burned to the ground. Because there is a game, Fire of London. Or Great Fire of London. So yes, so that's the title that you're rebuilding the city. So that is that's going to be available from Osprey, or is available from Osprey. Yeah, there we go. There's a Lost Expedition. A lot of fun. Not an easy game to win either. And I dig challenging games. All right, so we've got the board. Got some tokens here. So this board here is the garden. Alrighty. Yeah, let's turn this around because numbers are facing this way. Okay. So there's the board. We've got the different colored tokens. I'm taking a guess. Maybe these are for scoring? Dual-sided. Alrighty. Then we have the Emperor right here. That's going to represent the Emperor, no doubt. And these are going to represent... push that up a little. These will represent the painters, the players. Wooden. Yeah, pretty nice. Big and chunky. That was a pretty big, and I've said before I don't have huge hands, but yeah, that's a pretty big token for the Emperor. And then we've got the deck of cards. So, yeah, it's got the little strip, but let's just use the handy dandy model, or hobby knife, I should say. Yeah, crack this open. Once again, I know really nothing about this game. It's an unboxing. You saw me take the shrink off. Let's see. Looks like they're all the same. They're stuck together, or is that a card? Oh, wow. Okay, so that is the card. That's pretty good card stock. Of course, with any card game, regardless of how nice the card stock is, if you're going to be playing it a lot, you're going to make sure you want to sleeve those cards. Just pop out, get some penny sleeves. Okay, so, of course, I am absolutely clueless what this card represents here. So, obviously, we see a -2, a +1, and then a little flag down below. Almost looks like a windsock. So we show there's the Emperor strolling along. Let's see, take a look at some of these. I like the artwork. Artwork looks pretty cool. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a number 1. Looked almost like a windsock. Okay, so then we've got this. Oops. Showing it's got a 2. +2, +3. -1. It's like a turn. So my assumption is that the Emperor is kind of strolling through the garden. Looks like these are the Sakura trees. One here, and one here. And we do see there's little cherry blossom petals on these stones. So this must be where it kind of stops to reflect, kind of looking at the trees. But I'm going to take a guess that it's possible that the Emperor just kind of moves around. I'm guessing he's not going to just move in a straight line. Well, not that it's straight, but he's not going to move in one direction. He might actually kind of turn, go other ways. Because it's showing here, my assumption is the purple means that's the movement of the Emperor. Almost would say, okay, he's turning around. He's moving in a different direction or something. Don't know. Okay. Some duplicates of the artwork, quite a few, I should say. But it looks like the results on some of these and the numbers on the bottom are different too. So as you can see here, we got the 6 and the 5, and we got the +3, +2. I would take a stab that this upper icon is probably representing your painter. How close they're moving, how far away they might be. I don't know. Let's find some other art. See if we got any other art. Well, looks like that may have been all of them. All the images. But as I mentioned, these cards do this up here and the number down below. Oh, okay, so the number down below is the number of the card. All right, okay. So all in all, 60 cards in this deck. And this is it's pretty good card stock. Cool. These are the sort of games. Now, my niece Madison, who's 11, she's not a huge gamer. We can get her to the table for some stuff, and it's kind of weird what she likes. Like she really likes love letter. Now, Lovecraft letters, she's like, eh. She likes love letter. She really likes that whole take that eliminating people out of the game. It's really what it boils down to. But this looks like this would be something that my sister-in-law, who also does not play a lot of games, but she digs love letters. She likes Carcassonne, stuff like that. She obviously likes Dance of the Fireflies, because I have been told I must bring that because she'll be home tomorrow afternoon, I guess. So I'm like, okay. But this looks like something that would probably this might bring my niece to the table. And I'm sure my sister-in-law would probably get a kick out of it. All right, so what we've got is we've got the cards. We've got the Emperor. He was in there, right? We've got the tokens for the painters. I want to say we're there. And then we've got the counters, tokens, whatever you want to consider those. We got the map. We got the advertisement for some of the cool Osprey games, and the rule fold-out. All of 5 pages, 5 small pages to learn how to play. And that is what we find when we take everything from Reiner Knizia's Sakura outside the box. And as I mentioned before, Sakura is available now. I think it came out maybe about a month ago. I know it hasn't been out a long time. It is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays in about 20 to 40 minutes, and it does carry an MSRP of $30. I almost said 20, and I'm like, no, it's 30, Jeff. Where are you going with this? So that is Sakura. I will have a review of this maybe on Friday of next week, otherwise soon after. Because I'm trying to get, family games out there for folks too. But anyway, I just want to wrap up. Hey, another week in the bag for the Daily Dope. I really do appreciate everybody who watches, and when you comment or send me emails and you're like, oh hey, can you share more FFG news, stuff like that. That's awesome. I didn't want to start the show off like making people think that it's like, oh no, don't bother contacting me. I'm just trying to say, please don't sit there and try to tell me what I have to do on the show, because I don't want this to be like everyone else's board gaming, tabletop gaming, geek culture kind of shows. Anyway, but I know I got a lot of war gamers out there. There are folks that watch pretty much every day. In fact, I had somebody ask me, I think it was on Twitter, the video was still rendering, so I hadn't added it to the Daily Dope playlist on YouTube, and they're like, hey, where's the latest episode? I'm like, it's still rendering. It'll be done in a little bit. So, and I love that. I really do appreciate that. Help me out a little bit. If you got friends, tell them about the show. Tell them about thegaminggang.com, because a lot of stuff goes on thegaminggang.com, not covered on the Daily Dope. In fact, I think I will hit like the 7,000th article on the Daily Dope probably next month. It's like, holy cow, really? I mean, I've averaged almost 1,000 articles, and we lost some articles, strangely enough, in a move when I took the website to a different hosting company. So yeah, pretty wild. So yeah, feel free, spread the word, war gamers out there. If you run across one of the wargaming videos that I do and you want to share it on like Consim World or something, by all means, yeah, that's cool. I don't have time to like share the videos everywhere. Alrighty, so when you are not watching the Daily Dope, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com, like I was just talking about, for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back on Monday. So until then, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. And thanks once again so much for watching.